Hey, everybody. I'm Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. How are you? Let's see who we got, shall we? Kestrel, how you been? Good to see you. Squirrel Nut Zipper is around. She'll probably make an appearance. Feisty Irish, good to see you. Megan Jeffrey, how are you? Hey. Jane Aldrich. Lisa Trimble. There's Johnny Scoville. Johnny's got jokes. Motherbird says, hey, that's a nice sentiment. We'll put that one up there instead of Johnny's. Lisa Trimble, good to see you, my friend. I'm glad that you're here. Hope you're having a decent weekend. Let's see. Don Davies, how are you? Toby Frosty. Toby Frosty. Maria, how are you? My sweet Anna. Hello. Hey, Pete. Tractor. Carol Barnhart, how are you? Hey, Kimberly White. Yvette, you doing all right? Hey, Don Davies. I'll tell you something, people. Got some interesting stuff going on with this, for real. Sometimes it feels like filler. This isn't. Kevin Hawthorne, Lakeland, Florida. Good to see you. Allison Metcalf, Palumbo. What's happening? Hello, DS Kitty Diane. Shannon Trim. Hello. Have I ever said hello to you, Shannon Trim? I feel like I would have remembered that. I just feel like I would have remembered that. But I'm not sure 100%. Let's put that up there and see if anyone else. Sweet Liberty, how you doing? 10-8 round? 10-8 round. It's a 10-8 round. That's all the points going in one direction, people. McKenna, how are you? Am from Mass. That's a butt-kicking round. Trishka, Scorpio. There will be no bail package, is what I believe. You know what? I like it when people have an opinion. I'll be honest with you. I really have. I was a lot more confident the first couple of times, and I'm not saying that I think he's going to get out, because in all honesty, I don't. Hey, Dale Green, Rona, how are you? Well, Loren, pickleball Paul played a lot of pickleball. Paul played a lot of pickleball. You're welcome, man. Thank you for being here. You guys make this happen. Lady Tina Marie, happy Saturday to you too. Hey, Karen, Dirty Mouse, Jack Court. Jack Court says, I believe he will get one. I have my own reason to believe this. Well, I respect that. Questions. How can he put up bail money if house and plane aren't selling? What he would do is he would borrow against it, right? With all of the real estate that the guy's got, he will go to if they were to say, yeah, we'll do that, he's going to put the houses up that he's got as collateral. I got the microphone on the other side today. We've switched things up, man, so that I don't have to go as far away when I work with the second screen, but it's definitely jacking me up. He would borrow $50 million with the houses up as collateral. That's what he would do. However, I don't know that that's going to help him one way or the other. Tony Suter, good to see you. Wore a great shirt yesterday. I hope you saw it. Laura Lou, good to see you. She made that shirt. If you knew how many emails I got from people that said, where do we buy those? I said, it doesn't work that way. Lionel Nation, the ex-lawyer, says he will never get out, says Pete. And you know what? I know him. He's a passionate guy, too. He's a really passionate guy. I like him. Yvette, how are you? I really do. I like listening to the guy. I don't think that he's ever going to get out of prison. Here's the problem, though, right? We'll start this off a little bit. Here's the problem, though. Every time they've gone in there before, it's just kind of been the same argument over and over and over again, right? Every time they've gone in there, it's sort of like, oh, we got another shot at this. You know, the first bail package was just about money. The second one, they had a really tight thing with, here's what we're going to do to structure this in such a way that he's actually going to be safely away from people, because almost everybody involved feels like if left to his own devices, it could get ugly. Lemon Tree says they're using the Abercrombie as an example of similar case where bail was granted, I believe. You would be right. They actually list that in their filing. Motherbird says there's this influencer, Tisa Tells, that keeps talking about Trump and Biden pardoning Diddy. Well, everybody's entitled to an opinion. Hey, Lynn D. Woman, good to see you. Sebastian, how are you? I don't know I don't know if perhaps that individual knows something that I don't, right? That's a possibility. Maybe they know something I don't. But it has been my experience, especially because being in prison for a long period of time, when it comes up on a time where somebody's leaving office, everyone's kind of doing this one to see how many people get pardoned and things along those lines. But the politicians do things, right, that will not hurt their party. So if there was a national outcry that this guy was getting railroaded, right? If that is the belief, if there was sort of a swelling of that, then yeah, they might. But I think they go like this, right? I think that they kind of just stick their finger in the air and go, take the temperature, whichever way the wind blows. Whichever way the wind blows. They do whatever is best for them. Diddy did tamper with witnesses, and that's what they would say every time they go in. Here's their argument, right? This is what they're complaining about. And I think that this is a little bit more, Diddy will try to buy a pardon. Everybody does. Don't get that messed up. A lot of people buy pardons. I'm telling you straight out. A lot of people buy them. Not always. Sometimes they do the right thing in the right thing. In other words, there's enough people really complaining about something, they'll do the right thing. Johnny says they'll fake his death before they pardon him. And you know something? How are you going to argue? That's honestly, you think they couldn't afford to put this guy back on the street? Honestly, you know how many people in America are rip-roaring pissed off about this? I mean, wildly unhappy. I don't think they can get away with that, man. I don't think they will get away with that. I do think he'll try to buy a pardon, and people do, right? There's only so many ways that you can. You know, there's only so many ways that you can. Do you think he's adjusting to his new reality? Probably at some level he is adjusting to his new reality. Finally caught alive. You're from Menifee, California. You're a breath of fresh air. Well, that's a nice thing to say, isn't it? That's a very kind thing to say. Love your show. You keep it real. This world needs more people. Oh, well, that's kind. I don't know that the world needs more people like me. Someone just asked if I had done time in Terre Haute. I did. The Federal Correction Institution at Terre Haute, FCI Terre Haute. Why haven't we seen his mugshot picture? Because they're not releasing it. And the story that they're saying is, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, because I don't have any point of reference. And I'm not sure how many people have a point of reference. But what they're saying is they're not releasing the mugshot because as of now, he's not been convicted of anything. Sounds like a whole lot of BS to me. If you really want to know the truth, that doesn't sound like it makes any sense. But that is what they're saying. No, unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, it's a very different thing between the feds and the state, right? And the feds don't allow cameras in at any level. They just don't do it. So we don't have any hope whatsoever of them filming any of this, which is unfortunate, but it's the truth. I would think the gun charges alone and taking the serial numbers off is enough for no bail. Huge no. Yeah, I agree. I do. And it's a great point, right? Because when people say, hey, you got this guy down that was working with Abercrombie and Fitch, right? How come that dude gets a $10 million bond, but Diddy can't get out? That's an argument that a lot of people think has some weight, but it's such a different case. The age of the person involved is really, really old, right? This is somebody that's not as much of a threat to society, just simply based on how old the person is, right? That's kind of a huge difference between the two, a massive difference. It's also not the only difference, right? There's also that pesky tape. I guess you don't call them tapes. I don't know what the hell you call them. There is that pesky video out there that has made the rounds. We all saw it. It was allegedly given to CNN for free. And it was a tape of of Cassie Ventura being abused at a hotel. Hello, Anna. Now, they're also saying, this is the Diddy camp, that they're going to be able to prove that she was not running away from a freak off, right? Which is what the government contends, that she was trying to get away from a freak off. She was trying to split because she didn't want to have to follow through with doing another one of those. And you know what? If you read any of the stuff from Cassie, she would start getting ill, literally physically ill, because she knew these things were coming. Like he would say, yeah, we're going to have a freak off on, such and such a date. And it would really, she would start getting messed up long before it happened. Like he's really stressed out about something. It would make her physically ill. Of course, he didn't give a crap. He'd bring in 4 porn stars and tell her to get busy. The government can seize every bit of your assets for RICO. That's absolutely a fact, right? But you got to be convicted of it first. Do I think that his assets are not being watched pretty closely? I would say that they've got forensic, what do they call those people? Forensic accountants. I think they're called forensic accountants. If I'm wrong on that, don't beat my feet. But I think that's what they call it. And those people will be crawling through all of his crap, trying to figure out if there was a pile of money, which direction did this cash go in, right? If there was a pile of dough, what happened to it? If he bought this or if he bought that, there's a lot of this stuff, right, that they're going to be going through with a ton of agents. I had somebody asked me a question yesterday. How many agents do I think that they have on this? And then somebody mentioned how many agents there were working at the in the New York federal branch, the Southern District of New York. I promise you, they're not limiting themselves to the agents that are working in the Southern District of New York. I promise that is not the case. It just isn't. V. McWilliams, good to see you. Hey, Joyce Kirby, how are you? Lori Fry Duncan. It shouldn't matter. He still kicked the crap out of her. I agree with you, right? Who said that? Who said that? Sorry, someone also wrote to me and said, you've got that thing in my head and it's never going to go away, right? The beating he gave her should have been enough. Do I think his mom is next? I think that's a possibility, people. I think it's a possibility that we could see Diddy's mom get hemmed up in this, right? Because unfortunately for him, yeah, Rona says Abercrombie didn't have guns. Abercrombie was a lot younger, right? And the crime itself. Kimberly White says, isn't Diddy safer in jail? Yadira, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Absolutely. Absolutely. He sure would be safer in jail, in my humble opinion, right? I think he would be safer in jail. However, his argument, and we'll get into it because we're getting some people here. Hey, Kristen Melinda, how are you? Debbie Blair, good to see you. No matter what the reason, there is no excuse for him putting hands on her. There never is. There is never an excuse. But their argument is, I agree with you 100%. Vixen. And I think that's, they're going to jump all over him when they say that. But their argument is this. I mean, the prosecution. The prosecution says it is completely relevant to the case and could never be removed because it's proof of the existence of freak-offs and how traumatized this person was trying to get away from one. So they're truly making a case of it to say, no, that's not even close to what it is, blah, blah, blah. As you say, who cares, right? It shouldn't matter in any way, shape, or form. But that's the argument that they're going to make, that there's evidence that they can bring out that's going to prove. The other thing that they're going to say, and this may be the only thing that they got going for them that seems legitimate to me, right? And I don't mean legitimate as in, I just mean it's a good argument. They're talking about how there are those electronic devices that have been seized. Do you remember us? We talked about this. Pretty much really went over it at length, right? We talked about 90 terabytes and what 90 terabytes represents, how much information that is. His argument is, how am I going to go through this stuff, right? I don't have access to a computer. I don't have access to a tablet or anything like that. We're talking about a lifetime worth of stuff that you got to go through. But all of that is kind of in evidence. So the defense is arguing that you would have to let this cat out, right? You got to let this cat out so that he has the opportunity to go through all of this, evidence. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how I can understand exactly. Pretend for a second he's not a dirtbag. Pretend just for a second he's not a dirtbag. You can't throw somebody in a walk-in closet, right, with a sink and a toilet and expect them to be able to prepare for a case, right, without having access to a lot of the stuff that that if he was on the street, he would have access to. Millennia Pink, new sub? Well, hello. That's fantastic. Is he eligible for some kind of witness protection until trial? No, I don't think he would be. Normally, they won't do that to somebody that they're prosecuting. They will only do that to someone that is working with the prosecution. I've never heard of them doing it. They could, however, have armed people around him. The bail package that they're talking about this time is a little bit different. Mother Bird says, who was it that said Diddy's junk was like a pencil yesterday? I may have said that, but I was just quoting somebody or making reference to an interview that somebody did where they did say Diddy's got some issues in terms of he's overcompensating apparently a lot. So there's that. So I don't think so, Lisa. But I think that there are probably some people that may end up having to take a look at WITSEC, the witness relocation program, where they protect people once those individuals try to help out, then they're in trouble for the rest of their lives. So people, will try to help. Yeah, it is pretty funny. The woman that said its name's something Kennedy. I can't remember, but she was in Playboy at one time. Hold on 1 second, people. Give me 1 second. Do you remember the original bail package, people? Do you remember the original bail package? The original bail package was $50 million. However, it wasn't going to be like a cash thing. He was going to say, I would put up 50 million, meaning with property or with whatever. Now he's talking about getting $50 million. And on top of the $50 million for bail, he is going to lock himself away from everybody on planet Earth. The only people he would be allowed to see would be his legal team. He wouldn't have a computer. He wouldn't have a cell phone. He wouldn't have access to any of those things. So for all intents and purposes, they're saying it would be just like he was in the joint, right? He would be that restricted, but he would like to put a couple of family members on a list, that they would approve so that he could see family members. My argument, of course, and anybody with a half a dome is going to go, wait a second, aren't a couple of his kids getting accused of some stuff anyway? How easy would it be for him to sit down in a room and go, hey, listen, Justin, here's what I need you to do, or Christian, any of them, right? Any of them. He has Bob Hope. It's the only hope he has is Bob Hope. All of those terabytes was his whole life as an SANR. Yeah, you know what? Here's the deal. We don't know. This is not all of the information, by the way, right? This isn't all of the information. This is 8 devices. There's still more than 90 some odd devices left that they have to go through. 9 cell phones. This is a great argument right here, right? Hey, Becky Lynn, thank you for all of the support, Becky Lynn. I really appreciate you. He should not get extra privileges. He shouldn't, right? And he most assuredly would be, all right? Now, is it going to be very difficult for him to go through all of that information? because he doesn't have access to this stuff? It is. It is. I didn't have the ability to get through all of the discovery of mine. There was no chance in hell I could have. Now, mine is really a joke compared to his, right? A joke. But a lot of the stuff that, they're going to pare it down. Obviously, there is not going to be 90 gigabytes of information brought out at trial. They may mention that there was that much, recorded, but I don't know how you would. Somebody who's smarter with computers could probably answer this question, but I don't know how you could possibly go through all of that stuff. I would assume you would have to do it with some kind of an app or some kind of something that can go in there and literally look. You follow? Because I don't think people could do it. I mean, we're talking about a lot of information. Maybe I'm wrong. He's either a danger to witnesses or he isn't, regardless, but it's possible if he can pull the right strings. Carol Carr, I think sadly, right, it is a possibility, right? I think it is a possibility. I don't think it's a good possibility. I just am not ready to say he's got zero chance at all, right? Helen Rosenthal says, Tommy, did the feds say why the file's sealed? No. Great question, by the way. Got the smartest crew anywhere on the net. And I'm not being funny. I'm dead serious. Not even blowing sunshine. I'm telling the truth. Lisa Ann, good to see you, Lisa Ann. I don't know if I've ever said hi to you, but if I have, you got another one. So let's talk about the why would they seal them? There's a bunch of reasons why things can be sealed, right? And it can run the gamut from this is information he ratted on somebody. He might just hypothetical, you understand? Hello, Indigo's Insight. This as a theory, right? If by some chance he brought up the fact that he had ratted, if he said, I worked with the FBI in the past and his attorney wanted to bring that up in the court, there's no way he's going to bring that up in the court, right? Unless it's sealed. They're going to have that sealed. That's one reason that they seal things. Cup of coffee, good to see you. James Collins, how are you? Hey, humble and kind. Grammy, good to see you. That's one reason things get sealed. Or if he were to go in there and say, when I was a child, an uncle of mine came in to my room at night and assaulted me, that they would seal that. That's not something that they would allow to go out to the world either, right? They absolutely, there's a ton of reasons why things can get sealed. And I'll tell you another one, right? What if they are having discussions about people who are or were underage at the time of this happening? As of right now, the jury, it'll be a very long time before they pick a jury for this. If they keep to the schedule that they claim they want to keep to, they won't be picking a jury until probably late April or early May of next year. That's when they would start to pick a jury. Will they have to sequester the jury? I think they might. I'm not a legal scholar, man. Hello, Professor Khan. I'm not a legal scholar by any stretch, man. But it would seem to me that if you were ever gonna if you had any intention of ever sequestering a jury, this might be a jury you would like to sequester, right? Sorry. Tommy, if for some horrible reason he gets off, can they retry him with the other terabytes? No. But I think that this is one of those situations where there are probably some ace in the holes, right? Like they've listed stuff that will be brought up kind of as prior bad acts, right? So they could bring up those 7 pews, 3 of which had obliterated serial numbers on them, right? That right there, if all else failed, that right there can land you in the joint for 30 years. It can. And they can break you off more than that. They don't like it when you go to trial. They hate it, right? They reward you for pleading guilty and they punish the hell out of you if you decide to fight for yourself. You're going to get a lot more time. right? If the visits in the jail with the attorneys to go through the evidence they have, if so, why let them out? What their argument is that this would require them working around the clock, right? That they would literally have to be working around the clock, and he can't do that because of how he's locked up. But as somebody said earlier, why should this guy get any special treatment of any kind, right? I think that the argument, that if two people went in and got busted for the same thing, the odds that they would allow me, right, to design my own little pre-trial detention. All right, here's how we're going to do it, right? The only people I'll talk to are my legal team and a couple of people from my house. I'll pay for all of the officers, but you guys can pick them. It won't even be from some service that I know or anything else. You guys go find those people, and I'll just pay whatever it costs to have those people there. Which is awfully kind of him. It's awfully kind of him. But the argument that he can't defend himself from being incarcerated, I promise you, a lot of people have made that argument over the course of the time that this legal crap has been going on. Tons of people. Sub Rosa says Rule 404B, prior bad acts. This is the stuff that's going to allow them to talk about things that they're not going to charge him for. All right. Kid Cudi's car. It's going to be way past the statute of limitations, but you're trying to show that this entire company was just in business to facilitate this guy's sick, twisted desires. And it is a business model. This was a recurring crime business. Right? They were doing this as a way to make cash. Crazy, but that is what they're talking about. Is there any way he could end up in Supermax in Colorado? If so, do they get visitation? They do. You can be visited if you are at ADX. You're not going to see the person and be able to touch them. No chance in hell. You're going to be talking on a phone through a plane of glass, and they're going to be sitting on the other side. That, by the way, would be best case scenario, and it's probably not the case. More than likely, what's going to happen is you're going to be looking at, just like you're watching me now, the inmate goes into a room that has just a screen. There's no keyboard. There's no nothing. It just looks like a TV screen, and there's a camera that sits above it. And you go in there and sit down. Your person pops up on the bottom of the screen. And it's just like doing a Skype, but they have to actually go out to ADX to do it. At least they did when I was there. Now, right as I was leaving federal prison, it was a hot minute ago, but right as I was leaving federal prison, they were starting to put up the Crowbar Zoom call. That's funny. The Crowbar Zoom call. You can go onto a computer and send emails, and you can buy songs for your MP3 player. It's not really a computer. It's so limited in what you're allowed to do, right? But you can do stuff. So there was a new category that they listed down at the bottom. And when I first went to the feds, they didn't have MP3 players. So it started to list MP3 players. And I was like, damn, right? A couple of years later, we got them. They were showing video visits from home, right? Video visits from home. Yeah, all conversations are monitored. Cherie, all conversations are monitored and recorded. And they make a point of telling you that, right? And by the way, it literally is both. It's not just we're going to record this and later on we're going to listen to this and we're going to see if you did something wrong. If you mess up on the phone, like if you say something like, listen, when you're mailing that stuff, make sure it's not under stamps or anything like that because people are getting busted. You will not get off the phone. You'll be sitting there talking to your guy and they will come in, hang your phone up, grab you, take you out, and you're going to the hole. They're listening. The feds are vicious. Question, Tommy, is Diddy's jail, is it a person-to-person guest visit or one where no contact, only a glass window or phones? I believe that you can absolutely get contact visits there. Now, will he be able to? I don't know. And the reason I say that is he's in the shoe, right? Now, I have been at federal prisons that will allow you to visit with your loved ones and have contact where you can hug them and do all of that. But you're only allowed to do it one day a week. I was in the hole. My wife at the time would come and visit me, and I could see her on Mondays. They would not allow me to do the Friday and Saturday, which is what we normally would have done. After I got in trouble, and I got in serious trouble. But it depends, right? If they deem him too dangerous, if they're so worried about his communication, right? His ability to tell people to do things. There is a call, allegedly, that is of P. Diddy talking to his kids, or one of his kids rather. And he very much sounds like he's barking out instructions. And the instructions sound like they're in a code. Not a very good code, because almost everybody that listens to it goes, holy hell, I know what he's talking about. Or at least makes you have a feeling you might know what he's talking about. Yeah, it's a great question. Indigo Insight says, do you think Diddy's kids will be implicated or at least be interviewed for the trial? I think that some of them we know are going to be implicated. Plain and simple, right? Because they keep coming up. In Little Rod's lawsuit, there are references made to Diddy's kids being at freak-offs with dad. Right? How's that? Just absolutely. It's hard to wrap your brain around. Hold on a second. Booyah. Do we get that? County has glass and phones for child visits. You have to be sentenced, and it's a process. This for a child visit with someone or ones in the room, as well as watching too, of course. In the feds, they'll give you that one. They'll give you the 1 day, right? They'll give you 1 day a month, and for that 1 day, hey, Karma Chameleon. For that, 1 day a week. For that 1 day a week, you can actually go out and visit. However, very often these prisons are in the middle of nowhere, and I'm not exaggerating. In the middle of nowhere. If you look and see where ADX is. So hold on a second. This is a great question too. This is a great question, and I think it's a question that's scaring a lot of people. In all honesty, I think this is scaring a lot of people. With all this information that's out in the media, and more importantly, social media, because there's the mainstream isn't covering this the way it's being covered inside the big red button or anywhere else, but no, I don't think they're going to call a mistrial. I really don't. Yeah, the one that they call King Combs, so far, he has been accused, and it's not gone. So he hasn't been charged because it hasn't gone criminal, right? As of this moment, the lawsuit alleges that he did this, and this, but had not been charged yet. We wish he would have been, right? But so far, he has not been charged. You know something? This is not such a ridiculous thought, is it? There's a pretty popular video out there of Kevin Hart, and he's a host at one of Diddy's parties, right? He's got the microphone, he's walking around, they're filming him, and there is one of those sex toys on the bed, a dildo on the bed. And I don't care. I mean, I really don't, but that's a lot of them, right? That's an awful lot of sex toys, and it starts to make you wonder if that is one of those things that is he's being keeping these things as trophies. Dartmoor prison in the UK is in the middle of the moor, and above the door since Victorian times is a saying that says, "Abandon all hope, or all who enter here. Abandon hope, all who enter here." I've seen things written above prisons that were pretty foul. I never saw that. But I saw one that said, there is the BOP, right, Bureau of Prisons. There's the BOP way, and there's the Lewisburg way. Go ahead and call your lawyer. I swear to you, they had that written, and it wasn't a sign. They just wrote it on the wall. And it was when you first come off the bus and you're going through the intake, and you look at it and you're like, oh, that's no good. And they acted like they did not care they were being filmed. I promise you. 100%. 100%. The woman in the tub. Yeah. The girl in the tub caught her hair on fire with a candle. And you know something? I don't know, man. I don't think I would have got a laugh out of that. I really don't. I don't remember laughing seeing it filmed. And he just thought it was the funniest thing he had ever seen in his life. And he was, I hope you got that. Did you get that on film? Did you get that? Horton Thistle, good to see you. Sandy Bowers, how you been? Spooky as you know what. I've actually seen Dartmoor Prison, not in real life, but I have seen Thunder. Oh, you're trying to put a tune in my head. That's uncool. That's uncool. Yeah, I've seen Dartmoor. I've not seen it in real life, but I've seen it on in pictures. I'll tell you something. I really do not trip out too hard on prisons. Here in the U.S., most of them, one looks just like the next one, which looks just like the next one, right? Especially all of the ones that were built when the Clintons were in office, because there was this period of federal expansion where all of the prisons that were built look exactly the same, right? So it doesn't really matter where you go, because when you walk in, it's just like the last one you were at, which is going to be just like the next one you were at. But when I got to Lewisburg, and we get to the top of that, we get to the top of the hill, and there's this big damn wall, and it just looks like something out of a Batman movie. And there were some. I mean, I had people on the bus with me, people that flew in that were the heads of 3 different large gangs, right? All had people on that bus, and nobody was joking. Nobody was laughing. That place scared the crap out of me. I'm not kidding you. Shaka Khan's interview with Piers Morgan, I did. What year did I go to Lewisburg? 2013. Class of 2013. Do I think Ashton Kutcher could end up in with Diddy and Masterson going to prison? You know what? The thing that bums me out about, we know he's not a good dude, right? There's just too much smoke, man. There's way too much smoke. Everybody he hung around with like to use chemicals to make people knocked out. You feel me? These are the people that he hung out with, allegedly. I mean, Diddy, Masterson, right? And Ashton Kutcher. If the 3 of them are going out, do you think he's going to help these people become better? Or do you think they're going to show them how to use chemicals to R-word people, right? There's the question. I've not heard anybody say that they were essayed by him yet. I've not heard anybody come out and say that. I have heard a story where he came in and jumped on the bed of somebody that had been essayed the night before by Masterson. So he was always close enough around it. I don't know. I kind of hope he does, because I don't think he's a good dude, man. I don't think he's a good dude. It's my humble opinion. The prisons in the UK are Victorian and massively overcrowded and often run by Muslim gangs. I have heard this from a bunch of convicts who reach out to me from the other side of the pond, who said that, man, when you get in there, you basically got to get in a gang, because if you don't, the Muslim gangs are going to roll over the top of you. And that's what started the white prison gangs in the U.S. back in the day. They had to tip up to protect themselves from one another, right? From the other gangs. That really has, I don't know. In the feds, it's not that way. You know, you got decent paperwork, you should be able to walk any yard without having to tip up, as long as you're not an idiot. You know what I mean? Right? As long as you're not an idiot. Because there's a lot of different ways you can do time too. You know what I mean? You can spend your entire sentence looking at your shoes, and if you do, right, you can get through a prison sentence without running into much trouble if you just stare at your shoes. But it's not a great way to live. Instead of reporting the situation, Kutcher went to the awards after party. Sub Rosa, that entire incident is one of the most disturbing things ever. Yeah, it really is. Have I seen the clip of Kevin Hart shushing Kelly Clarkson? On the Kelly, yeah, Kelly Clarkson starts talking about how she turned down a very large amount of money, millions of dollars from people that were trying to. It's the same. It's the Cat Williams story. It's the story that they all talk about, where they come to you and offer you the world. It's that moment. It's that moment where you're going to say, yay or nay. Pete says, Kevin got cloned. I'm going to tell you something. It's a popular theory. It's a popular theory. Schuylkill, Pennsylvania. We had to visit Schuylkill, Pennsylvania. It's a different setup than the one in South Carolina. Very strict in Pennsylvania. If I'm not mistaken, right? If I'm not mistaken, there's an FCI that's FCI Schuylkill. I don't know if that's how they spell it, right? But the fellas are always talking about a place called Schuylkill where everybody wants to go. It's and one of the reasons that it's a cool yard, right? This is kind of funny, but one of the reasons it's a yard that the guys like is it is maybe 500 yards from a school, right? And because of how close it is to a school, they can't let anybody with bad paperwork live there. There's a law about how close people with that kind of paperwork can live next to a school. And so everybody that's walking that yard doesn't have that kind of case, and it usually makes people happy. Diddy can make commissary purchases. He can. He has limited ability to make commissary purchases. Yeah, I think that I think it was $20 a week when I was there. You could spend $20 a week at store, right? While you're in the SHU, the segregated housing unit, you're in the hole. You can drop $20 a week. The only thing that doesn't come off of the top of that are stamps. So you can buy a book of stamps every single week. You can buy a radio or headphones or any so that you batteries, anything so that you can continue to listen to your radio. That doesn't cost anything either. So a lot of times people like him will get in there and buy a radio every single week and trade it for something else. Because, I mean, you got unlimited money. Why not, right? Let's see here. Yeah, the Gen Zs thing is terrifying, isn't it? Bless anyone else that have any kids who are Gen Zs. Jesus, take the wheel. Lordy, Lordy, kids. I can't even. Parenting sucks once they are teenagers, in my humble opinion. I am no longer cool. You know something? That's funny. Chicka Cherry Cola, good to see you. I absolutely remember a moment with my kid where I was taking him to I took him to a movie theater, and he had one friend he was going with. It was supposed to be two friends, and then one couldn't go. So I just went and picked up his friend, and I was driving him there. And as we got in and went to sit down in the theater, my kid was like, "Hey, can you sit a couple of seats back?" And I wasn't alone. I was with my first wife, and I looked at her and I went, "Oh my God, we're uncool. We're uncool." You know what I mean? Like he doesn't want us near. We're uncool. It was a shock to me. Your kid wrapped the hood of his car in Christmas wrapping yesterday. Sounds like you got a good one. Sounds like you got a good one. I did a lot of stupid stuff when I was a kid. I remember taking my Toyota truck into town, and we put a rubber liner in the back of it, and we filled it up with water, and we sat in it. And they had what do you call them? Little traffic meters, parking meters. So we would have to get out and put a couple of quarters in it and turn it. But we stayed there all day long. It was a lot of fun. Well, wasted time in the summer. Stupid stuff, you know. Yeah, this is actually really good advice. This is actually really good advice. You must stay calm, stay firm, and wait. Be like an unmovable, stable rock. Look after yourself, keep your boundaries, and maybe spend a little time researching the ever-loving dog crap out of every substance out there, right? Because someone is going to tell your kids about Fent. Someone's going to tell your kids about Trank. I promise. If it isn't you, it's going to be somebody else. And I promise you, the sales pitch that they're going to put on your kid is going to be a hell of a lot different than the one you're going to give them. So if you don't know what to say, we do a lot of videos where we talk about that. But figure it out. If you think to yourself, well, they're doing that in school, watch the video I did with my daughter. You can't see her, by the way. I wouldn't have put my daughter's face on a screen, but I was able to interview my daughter, and I said, she went to high school in California, in a part of California, by the way, that was getting the crap kicked out of it, right, with these drugs, overdoses all the time. And I said, how did the teachers talk to you about it? How did they bring it up? And was it teachers or was it coaches? What the hell was it? And she said, the only person that has ever talked to me about fentanyl was you. That's terrifying. And by the way, this wasn't 100 years ago, right? This was a year and a half ago. So it's talk to anybody that's still in the life, man, because I'm telling you, the stuff out there is poison. Poison. Lindsay's Law: when your draft exceeds the water's depth, you are most assuredly aground. You know what? Johnny Scoville, he must have memorized that before we got the boat that we lived on, right? Because the first time I got that baby completely stuck in up to the keel so that we couldn't move, my brother busted out with this like somehow that was going to help. I kind of wanted to kill him. Humble and kind. I am really sorry to hear that. I'm not trying to be a dick, but were these bootleg vape products? Was he buying weed vape cartridges in a state that doesn't allow weed vaping? Because that has been most of the people that have been having problems with their lungs. That is what it keeps coming back to. So I'm not picking on anybody, but Humble and Kind says, I hope that hospital stay was enough to quit the damn e-cigs. I hope so too. They may be calling it popcorn lung, right? There are certain, apparently there are certain oils that are dangerous for that. We had a thing a few years back where there were like 5 or 6 kids that passed away from a lung thing, and they blamed it on Juul. I'm not a Juul fan, people, I promise, and I'm not defending a company. I'm not. It'd be great if they went out of business. However, every one of those kids but one, before it actually took them off planet Earth, admitted that actually they were buying something else, and one kid did not. And according to the people that researched it afterwards, that kid might have just held his mud and not told anybody what he was doing all the way to the finish line. But there is popcorn lung, and that happens just from the regular vaping. That's it's just from having that stuff going into your lungs. Indigo Insight says, I only do gummies because I have asthma, so I don't inhale things anymore. Well, I have said it is 2024, right? And in 2024, maybe lighting stuff on fire, rolling them up in paper, and breathing them into your lungs as deep as you can may not be such a great idea. Maybe we figured that out, no? Juul is the iPhone of disposable vapes, marketed to kids, and for all intents and purposes, they slapped them back to the Stone Age. They really did. They were making a bunch of flavors. I was in the joint when they were popular, but they had a bunch of flavors, and that was really what was seemed to be hooking the kids. Were these, that probably shouldn't be a product like a cigarette that tastes like cotton candy, right? And if there is, maybe you got to work real hard to keep it away from kids. They weren't doing that, and nowadays Juul has 2 flavors, right? You can buy Juul in 2 flavors and 2 flavors only. Both of them are tobacco flavors. One is menthol, one is not. That's your only options. See the new Matlock, Kathy Bates? No, I have not seen the new Matlock. Christy Anise. Do you know what? I saw your name somewhere else earlier, and I thought, I don't know that I've ever said hello to Christy Anise. But now that I see the thumbnail, I think I have. One of those odd things. There are ads in Denver saying the flavor they are using that lure kids into vaping. TC, they're still selling flavored vapes, Juul vapes in Colorado. That's a shocker. I mean, I know that you can still buy flavored stuff everywhere, but you're not supposed to be able to buy it in the disposable crap for Juuls anymore. But I don't know. I have an theory on CB. We should all stand aside since he is answering the authorities right now. You're talking about Courtney Burgess. I am not going to spend a lot of more time on Courtney Burgess. I am going to wait and see what happens. I have voiced my concerns about that dude. I have said what my concerns are. I'm not a dude that likes to cause a crap load of drama, and I do feel like the guy's sort of like a content creator. So I try not to talk about content creators. Like I viciously try not to talk about content creators. It's one of those things that I'm pretty damn serious about. Hey, Jason, good to see you, man. There's a company sponsoring on YouTube that claims they sell flavored air. I want to tell you something. You may not believe this, but I have done flavored air. I have done flavored air. They were selling it for a long time. You could get them in airports. I know now that I said that, somebody's going to go, "Oh, I know what you're talking about." But you could buy these little canisters of air, and they would give you a nasal cannula. Put the thing on, stick it up your nose, and you could get it in certain scents or flavors, so that while you were breathing the stuff in, it was just nice. The flavored air device is called a flume. I don't know. I've not done. The only one I ever used was in the hotel. I mean, in the airports. But if you got a 2-hour layover, like I was a public speaker, I was stupid. And they also had the ones where the person would come up and use those it's like a massage devices that they'd use on you while you're sitting there. I did all that crap because I lived in airports and hotels and it just sucked. The THC now in strains is way too high for human consumption. Yeah, they have been making, hey, Wharton, they have been making weed stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. TC says, I have seen handcrafted flavored e-liquids advertised in vape shops' windows in Denver. You're probably safer with some of those, right? There's some stuff that's been catching fire in some places where they use food grade stuff, right? So there's nothing in there that if it's maple in flavor, they use maple. If it's this, it's called food grade stuff. It's way more expensive. But you'll notice a difference. But flavored air, I think I'm just going to stick with the just plain normal air. I'm just saying, says there are so many products right now affecting these kids' physical and mental health. Is the fun colors and flavors that intrigue them. I also think that unfortunately, we live in a society right now where it's always been this way, man. It was this way when I was a kid. It's always going to be this way. Once something starts getting traction, right? Once something starts catching on and it's cool, the entire generation will be doing it, right? And it's not a dig on that generation. My generation did the exact same thing. For real, think of some of the stuff we did. Mullets, acid wash jeans, right? Everybody I knew. I would go to other states and run into people with who had mullets and were wearing acid wash jeans. It's that I want to be like everybody else thing, and it's really kind of normal for kids. Might not be fun. I don't dig it, but it's absolutely a normal thing, and I think it's always going to be that way. 1,000 gigabytes is 1 terabyte. So 90,000 terabytes, 500 hours is 1 terabyte. That means the feds 45 million hours. That's a lot. 45 million hours. So it's like 62,000 months, 5,000 years. No problem there. You know, I think if we could just let him out, right, and give him a place where he can look at all this stuff, there should be no problem whatsoever, right? You can nail that out, right? You can see that, right? You can see that. Yeah, when I was trying to research the terabyte thing, there were people that were telling me about 250 full-length Hollywood films per terabyte, right? Video and sound, right? 250 films. Now, it's more than I'm going to see ever in my entire life. But for real, I just, especially these days, I don't watch any films anymore. But so multiply 250 times 90, that many films, that's a terrifying thing, man. You made homemade fries? Oh, I hope you brought enough for everybody, because if not, that's just not nice. Hey, Candace, how are you? It's the Sean Outward channel. I'm not sure it is, but you're close. You're close. Southern states are, there are some odd laws, right? I need to be a senator. You know what? If you run for office, humble and kind, we'll push you, right? It'll be the lifeboat candidate. We'll go hard to the paint. We will campaign for you. I would love to see somebody with some common sense get in office. I don't know how. Honestly, I don't know how smart. Whether or not that's even a possibility. Did I say thank you, Lindy? If I did not, thank you. I really appreciate you. I wasn't sure if whether or not I had knocked that out. I hope so. Yeah. I have heard about things like this. Age 13, parents need their own kids' permission to view their health care. Yeah, I could lose another couple hundred subs by commenting on that, because that's kind of been how it's been going. I think I will just say that I'm praying that common sense wins out worldwide, and I have hope that it will. You're waiting for me to tell you that homemade fries are bad for you? No, I'm not going to do that. Besides, everything is bad for you, right? So from time to time, rewarding yourself with a little something, right? It's not like you're doing. It's not smack, man. I think we can let this one go. Yeah, we can let this one go. No to the diddler getting bail. I'll tell you something, people. The group that he is dealing with. Right, the group that he is dealing with is not his. This isn't his normal legal team. Right, he's dealing with a much different group, and he's there for a reason. He's absolutely. They're there because this is their wheelhouse. They're there because this is the Hail Mary. I don't know how much he's spending on this attempt. And everyone says this is the last chance. It's not. Hate to bum you out, but it's not. Because we're talking about how he already appealed this to the Second Circuit, but he didn't. He mailed it off, and then he found out that Submarinian, the new judge, might give him a shot at biting that apple one more time, right? So that's kind of how it went down. They called up to the courthouse and said, "Hey, pull that, would you? Keep it in abeyance," right? Which is something that can be done. So they have it sitting there waiting. And when Submarinian says, "No, man, we're not letting you out. Sorry," they're going to drop that puppy, right? Now the appeal will go through. That will be the last shot. Unless they decide to appeal it to the Supreme Court, I don't think or continue up the process. I don't think they're going to get any traction past Second Circuit. I don't. I just don't. Yeah, you know something? He's not going to give up on this. He's not going to give up on this. And there is a reason, right? There is a reason that this is such a desperate thing for him. You understand that, right? This is not an accident. This is not just something that, he really wants some pizza. He'd really like to be closer to his kids. You know, there's this business that he's been running for all these years that are worth, right? This is like $1 billion business, right? This guy's he's a mogul. Do we hear that word a lot? He's a mogul. This guy's he's a whale. He's got a huge business he needs to run. It's all BS. He wants to run. I promise you, man. He wants to run. Claudia, I will have to check that out. Unfortunately, I really struggle to watch anything anymore. I get headaches really easy unless I can watch like documentaries. I can watch things that aren't edited. Fast editing will throw me into a migraine and quickly. The chat here is great, Sub Rosa. I am proud as hell of the people in this chat. I really am. It's a great group of people. Hey, I like this. I like this. For real. Tell me you don't. Honestly, I don't think the world is getting more twisted. I think we're just way more aware. Things have always been ugly, but everyone has access to report things now instantly. Instagram, Facebook, X, the big red button, right? And you know what? We don't have to get BS'd anymore. We don't have to get BS'd anymore. If we didn't have all of this, if we weren't sitting there and having this conversation, then what would we have had? We would have had ABC, NBC, CBS, and a bunch of cable stuff for the news, right? And if you had the ability to control that narrative, then it really didn't matter if you did the things that he's accused of doing because they can make sure nobody heard about it. For real. I think that this has effed up so much in so many ways. I really do. I think that they're hating social media. If they could go back and do it all over again, I don't think they would like this. I think they would like to do without it if they could, because it's put power into the hands of people that never had it. This is a good question. Yeah, I can do this. Can I quickly break down a day in the life of Diddy in jail? Sure, absolutely. And it's good to see you, Chicka Cherry Cola. So here's how it works. At about 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe 4:45, the cops are going to go down the hall that he's in. There'll be cells on both sides of the hall. They're going to go on that. And when they get to the very front of it, a guy is going to say, and I'm not being funny, he's going to say this loud, "Who wants to go to rec?" And then he's going to walk slowly by each door. And if you're in the window of your door like this, the guy will put a mark on his little clipboard. And when they come back for rec, which will be done in about 35 minutes, they'll come back sometime between like 5:30 and 5:40 to start taking everybody to rec. And when they come back, if you weren't standing at your door at 10 to 5 and told them that you want to go to rec, you're not going to rec. Plain and simple. So Diddy's not going to go to rec. I promise. That fool does not want to go outside and see other people. And nah, he's staying inside. So he's sitting there, right? They will bring breakfast right around 5:15. Breakfast will come. Food slot opens. They hand you in some kind of gruel. It'll either be oatmeal or it will be cornmeal, like porridge made of cornmeal, or it will be like cream of wheat. Those are your three options. They no longer do cold cereal, especially in the shoe. They just don't do it anymore. So you're going to get some kind of hot cereal, a little thing of fruit, like a little one indentation of your tray filled with fruit, and 2 pints of milk. Then he's going to lay back down and go to sleep. They also put in 1 piece of breakfast cake that's about this big, and it's in every single breakfast. It's like that tall. It is absolutely horrible. But when you first get there, and you're starving, right? You can't get to the yard and buy real food and cook with people. You're stuck in you're going to eat that. And it's like a stomach bomb. It will put you to sleep like a quaalude. So right after he's done eating that stuff, he'll be right back to sleep. And then he will wake up probably sometime between 6 and 7. They will bring the next meal, right, at about 10, 9:45 or 10. During this time, at some point from when they wake him up at 5, his attorneys are going to show up. So they're going to pull him out of his cell. He's going to put his hands through that little door. They're going to put a set of handcuffs on him. 3 guys, requires 3 officers to walk him out and then down the hall where they're going to put him in what's called an MP room, it's a multi-purpose room, and people can see through. It's got big ass glass windows, right, all over the place, so that you don't have an opportunity to slide things or let him play with the computers or do any of the things that they don't want to have happen. Prior to him going into that cell, they're going to make him take all of his clothing off, right? They're going to search his clothes. They're going to make him bend over and squat and cough. They're trying to make sure that he's not bringing anything into his lawyer for his lawyer to get out to the street, right? Like a piece of paper that's a hit list or anything. Then on the way back out, they're going to search him again. So no matter how long he stays in there, an hour, 2 hours, 5 minutes, on the way back out, they're going to put him in a room. They're going to strip him down, right? And make him go through that whole process. Actually, they do red velvet cake. It's one of the other ones that they serve. It is not great, but it is absolutely red velvet. Rock On says Courtney was disingenuous about getting the tape from Shakir, Kim's boyfriend, because he died 10 years before Kim. He did. He died in 2008. He did. If by some chance he got the tape from that individual and he sat on it since 2008, I'm more angry at that idea than the idea that he lied. If he had tapes with that stuff on it, I would have hoped that you would do something about it, because if not, then from 2008 to now, Diddy's been able to kind of run wild. And if they had forced their hand, then this wouldn't happen, right? How do they make cake bad? I'll tell you how. It's a great question, though, isn't it? The reason that the cake is bad is because they don't use sugar. Because if there is sugar there, you can use that sugar to make alcohol, right? So they're using fake sugar to make the cake. Any further questions? Any further questions? Yeah. Monday on Sean Atwood, J-Lo, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Oprah, and the Diddy Conspiracy. Tommy will be there. Don't miss out. 9 p.m. UK to 4 p.m. USA. Why, thank you. I think I am going to be there, actually. You know something? There's some great advice, isn't there? I like Yadira. Yadira, you rock. Always stay humble and kind. We are all pink inside. That's right. And we all get the same, we bleed the same color. Now, Mr. Sunshine, I'll be right back with you. How was Courtney disingenuous? Sorry, I could tell he was BSing, but I've missed a few days and I was just wondering what people are saying he lied about. I'm not saying he lied. I'm not. What I'm saying is he says he got the tape from a executive in the music industry named Shakir Stewart, I believe was his last name, right? He died in 2008. By the way, he died of pneumonia in 2008. Allegedly, he died of pneumonia in 2008. He had been dating Kim Porter. Courtney said that's where he got the book. He said that's who he got it from. So he's either been sitting on the book since 2008, which gave Diddy a lot of time to do bad stuff because he didn't turn it over to somebody, right? That would suck, wouldn't it? And especially with kids on it. You know what I mean? Like that. We could have prevented a lot of people from getting hurt, or he's not telling the truth. And the other question is, I'm not trying to be a loser, but if something happens to me, release this. It's 2024. Something happened to her in 2018, right? I'm not trying to be a jerk, right? But if you're holding this as like a dead man's switch, if you're holding this as a way to get the information out, right? Then why in the name of everything good did you sit on it for 6 more years after she died of under somewhat suspicious, I don't know, man, somewhat suspicious, right? Circumstances were not quite right. Withdrawal is awful. I hear that benzo withdrawal is the worst. I wonder if Diddy was using benzos too. I would be willing to bet the farm that he was. And the reason I say that is, once again, we had a lot of people, according to our attorney with the 100 clients, right? Busby from Texas, from Houston. He said these people went to the hospital. He also said that they tested positive for trank, for xylazine, right? For xylazine. That's trank. So maybe he was just putting it on to other people, or maybe he was doing it himself too. He was addicted. So there's a decent chance he was getting the perk 30s that everybody else on planet Earth is doing. And those are cut with xylazine. So there's no telling. I used to think, man, you know, he would be getting his stuff from a pharmacist. He'd have the best, you know, but no. Helen Rosenthal says DRD. Do you see what Helen Rosenthal says? Right? DRD. Did everybody read that? It's going up right now. DRD. Okay, when I say DRD, that's what I'm talking about. You know that? Okay. The DRD drug, right? The DRD stuff, the chemicals, are gamma hydroxybutyrate. That's the one that keeps coming back up. They also mention ketamine. They also mention MDMA, right? MDMA. So they're talking about part of this conspiracy is that he was moving this stuff, right? You read what the government suggests. They're talking about them moving chemicals, being in the chemical business, not just, hey, I party on this stuff and I have some laying around. He's in the business, right? He's absolutely in the business. Catalina says, did these people hang on to the info in case Diddy was arrested one day? Scared or, yeah, well, and that's, he made a point of saying, Diddy never scared me. Now, methinks thou doth protest too much, but maybe he is afraid of the guy. If there's a fake alien invasion, Diddy might slip out the back door, says Carol. If there is a fake alien invasion, Diddy probably made it happen. Spreading positivity is a beautiful way to live. Oh, thank you, Chrissy. I really appreciate that. That's a super kind thing to say. And I'd like to keep that going. I really would. It's not as popular as it used to be. Positive energy brings a lot of people, brings out the worst in people sometimes, folks, but nobody here. Not anybody here that can leave a comment anyway. Sorry, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Just having a little fun with the people, you know. Just a little fun, right? And fun of them, just fun of them. So honestly, the argument from the state is going to remain the same. And everybody here said it, nailed it. Who cares? Who cares why he put hands on her? Like there's an excuse out there where the judge is going to go, oh, wait a sec. She said what? Oh, well then, you know, of course, I get it. I didn't realize she called you a punk, right? It's not that kind of a setup, right? There's no reason on earth that would justify what he did on tape. So who cares if he was running away from a freak off? And I understand from a legal standpoint, right? That they really want that because it makes their case rock solid. You understand? There has to be coercion as a part of this. He had to be coercing people to do stuff in these freak offs that they didn't want to do. That's what they are alleging, right? Now, there's a lot of ways that you can do that. You're right. Enough cash would be considered that. However, violence as a way for coercion is, I mean, vicious, right? That's a very, very serious thing, and I really hope that they're able to show a jury that that's what was going on that day, right? This is funny as hell. This is funny. Officially in the UK, we're only allowed an hour of fun per week. And we have to check in before we laugh if it's on the official list of funny things. Well, do check. And if I'm not on there, can you maybe recommend it? Lynn D says a great point. Right? That is coercing. A person cannot consent if they have been given substances. I'm up to 16. Right? I'm putting together a show that we're going to do specifically on this. I'm up to 16 people that I think, and I'll make the case, there are 16 people that he knew that were in that cat's orbit that ended up no longer with us. You know what, Dirty Mouse? The subject's heartbreaking. It is. And this is one of those situations that it would be a whole lot easier and probably a whole lot more fun to talk about other stuff, right? For real. This would be a subject that when this is gone, it's going to be a lot of fun to head off in some different directions and do some different things. But I'll tell you something. No, he's not going to catch up to the Clintons, right? He's not going to catch up to the Clintons. But we never had that moment where everybody in the world was going, these people suck, right? These Clintons, they're filthy. There's been a group of people that have been screaming that for a long time. Sean Atwood's done a hell of a job. But it isn't the entire world. And now the entire world is screaming about Diddy. And if we don't keep our foot to the floor, he might sneak out during the alien invasion. And I'm not being funny. I'm not being funny. Can you imagine how many people OD'd in those parties and were just discarded like they were nothing? So I live in the great state of Arizona, right? And I don't live in Phoenix, right? That's not the county that I live in, but the county that Phoenix resides in is averaging 4 deaths a day from ODs. 4 a day. One county in the state I live in, 4 people every single day. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. It really is. Yeah, so the bullet points that the Diddler is going through talk about a change of scenery. Well, I was going over earlier what a day in the life is like. When he comes back and eats dinner, it's at 4 o'clock, right? Dinner's at 4 o'clock when you're in the shoe. And then all of a sudden, that's where the ants start kicking the ever-loving crap out of you, right? Because you're not going to be able to fall asleep, right? You're not going to be able to fall asleep, I promise you. Why? Well, because you're going to have to get used to, right? You're going to have to absolutely get used to people screaming around the clock. No joke. The noise inside the shoe is terrifying. It never stops. It's terrifying. There are bugs all over the place, right? In the shoe, there are bugs all over the place. Big, gnarly, nasty cockroaches, right? There are rodents. You're talking about a kind of nasty that the average person on earth would really have a tough time dealing with. However, if you're coming from living like a pharaoh, where everything you wanted you got, including grab that person, I'm going to do it to them, whether they like it or not, right? Girl, boy, adult, child, doesn't care. Absolutely sick to my imagination, right? It's the sickest thing in the entire world. But again, so dinner's over. He's not getting to sleep, I promise. There's all that noise. He's going to get up and he's going to start pacing the cell. And he's going to start counting how many times he walks back and forth. And the cops walk every 30 minutes. He's got a radio that's got a clock on it. He'll stare at that clock. You would not believe it. But he's going to start doing things like working out. Diddy's going to get yoked up, I promise, because you have to do things to take your mind off the fact that you know you did a lot of dirt that is on film, right? He knows that there's a lot of stuff out there that he did that is recorded. And I think that he's in there right now, walking back and forth while you're doing stuff, push-ups, sit-ups, crunches. But no matter what you do, eventually the automatic negative thoughts are going to start beating the crap out of you. And I'm telling you, the one that's working him over the most, Cuddly Floof, I promise, the one that's working him over the most is, why did I come to New York? Why did I listen to my freaking attorney? Because his attorney said, I promise you, humble opinion, I promise you, it went like this. No, don't worry about it. Are you kidding? We got a bail package together, $50 million. You don't think they're going to let you out for $50 million? You're putting up your house. You're putting up your passport. Everybody in the family's putting up their passport because that's really important when you own a jet, right? I'm telling you, man, they're landing in countries and not spending a hell of a lot of time at customs. But yeah, he's spending a lot of time going over how did I get here, right? How did I get here? What mistake did I make? Because he's not someone, in my humble opinion, that is going to sit there and go, boy, I'm a bad person, man. I put myself here. I put myself here by being a lowlife, right? A lot of people do that, by the way. I had my come to Jesus moment in the shoe. That moment of, oh my God, I'm a piece of shit. That happened in the shoe. The shoe is a great place to get in touch with the party that you haven't talked to in a very long time. You know, if you've been doing dope for 3 decades, if you've been going hard on some really, really heavy narcotics over the course of 3 decades, you're going to have a real tough time getting everything back under control. Let's say, hypothetically, that he started partying and doing drugs when he was in his early 20s. I personally don't believe that. I think that he stopped doing it way before that, right? I think he started doing it way before that. But let's say that he started in his 20s. His emotional growth, right? His spiritual growth, all of the growth that isn't physical, everything that can happen in your life as you start to get older and you start to work your way through, all of that went away, right? You throw a switch and all of that stuff is for nothing, is for absolutely nothing. So he's in there trying to figure out, how do I deal with being depressed, right? How often has this cat ever been depressed? For real. He had unlimited money. He could go wherever he wanted, had his own jets. He took whatever he wanted in life, right? He took whatever he wanted in life. Think about that. If he wanted it, he took it. If he wanted it, he took it. Not even the A-team can save Diddy's ass, Pete. That's a good one, man. That's a good one, because not even the A-team could do it. Can he get books in the shoe? He can. He can. Now, the way that works, though, they're not books on demand, right? So every Sunday, it just depends on the shoe, but usually once a week or once every other week, because it's a pain in the butt for the cops. They don't like doing this, but they bring the book cart from one cell to the next, all the way down, and you drop the bean chute, right? And you give them 2 books. You can take 2 books back. If you just got there, you can take 2 without trading any in, but you're never allowed to have more than 2 books. So if you're in a shoe where, you only get them every other week, man, you're going to knock out a book a day. It gets really old. So people trade back and forth, but the book cart is on wheels. It comes and you look out through your little, and the cop has to do it. They hate doing it. They hate it because it's work. They actually have to be there. It takes them a long time. They do not like it. I promise. Is he around other prisoners? Well, I guess it depends on what you mean by around. Yeah, he's around other inmates, as in his neighbor to the left, his neighbor to the right, the people below him, everywhere he is, there are inmates. He's not talking to one of them face to face. That's not happening. Now, there is a chance that they put someone directly across the hall from him. And directly across the hall is not directly across the hall. Doesn't exactly line up direct. It's usually a little bit off. But if there's a person there that wants to talk to him, he's going to have to scream right? Because it's hard to hear, or he's going to have to learn some form of a sort of it's not real, right? It's not really hand signals. I mean, real like they do for people who are hearing disabled. That's not what it is, but it's a bastardization of that of some kind, and it's done by letters. And when they're done spelling a word, they do this, and then they start on the next word, and you watch them do it, and then they do this. It's absolutely crazy, and you would not believe how fast people can do it. I can read it and I can do it back, but I am slow as hell. I really am slow as hell. I think he's going to be in full rage. Absolutely, I think he's going to be in full rage. By the way, Lindy, if he was around other inmates, right, other prisoners, they are not going to be very happy. For real, I promise. You're not going to get a bunch of people that are like, hey, Diddy. No one wants to be the dude that was being nice to a guy who's in there on those charges, right? I promise. That no one's going to be the first dude to step out and go, yeah, I'll be cool with him, because the fellas have really long memories, right? You'll be on another yard someday and people will be like, he was in the shoe acting like he was the best of friends with Diddy. For real, man. I was there. Yeah, that kind of stuff follows you, man. That kind of stuff follows you. What is the toilet situation? The toilet situation is a metal toilet and sink combination, right? So there's a little basin, right, that you have to hold your thumb on the button to keep the stuff coming out of it, right? You have to hold your thumb on the button to keep the water coming out. You just can't put it on. Now, if you're an inmate, right, then that's how that works. If you're a convict, someone has probably showed you how you can jam that thing in such a way that it will stay on. Not an easy thing to do, and there's only one thing that kind of will make it work. But so that the sink will run hot water if you hold it long enough. But it's not hot water as in it's hot enough to make coffee. So in the morning when they bring those milks, right, they bring 2 of them. You save the milk cartons. You never throw away milk cartons because you're going to light them on fire later. And then when you put water inside a milk carton on a string, you can hold it above a burning flame and it will not burn through it, right? And what you want to do is, as fast as possible, get some black carbon on the bottom, because that protects the thing from burning all the way through. And we would boil water inside one of those to make coffee. And you could probably do it about 30 times before you started to need a new one. It'd start leaking a little bit and dripping. But that's the only way you can make real coffee. Doesn't his music get him some credit inside? Well, it would have. It would have. That's, but it's not the kind of thing that, because of his crimes. Oh, it smells absolutely awful, Sub Rosa. It smells absolutely awful. And most lockdown units directly above, because you want to do it by the vent so that it sucks the smoke out. But right above that vent on the ceiling is always a stain from how many people have done it. And like Lewisburg was a SMU, a special management unit, 23 in 1 lockdown for like 9 years, 8 years, something like that. Every one of those rooms are just covered in smoke. People making coffee in there for, close to a decade, every time burning something on fire. And some guys will use blankets. They'll cut a strip about this big and roll it, right? And then throw the burning paper down on that. And you start the fire with your battery. You take a battery, and batteries are all positive. They make it, they have to put that seal around the outside of it, right, to make sure that nothing can ground out. So you cut away a little of that, and you put a piece of tin foil on the bottom, and then you touch it to the side of the battery, and it will go poof. The tin foil will light, and then you have to roll a piece of toilet paper and hold it right there. It's always a little easier if you do it with a 2-man, but it can be done alone. Right, hold it in your teeth, and once you get that thing lit, that now you hold that, start burning. It's terrible. It really is. It's an awful way to live. It really is an awful way to live. Boohoo Hobo says, his ass is getting canceled. And I promise you, he is getting canceled. I agree with you. This is going to be one of those things. So roommates inside, they call cellies or cellmates, usually cellie. No, he will not have a cellie. Ain't no way, right? Not yet, anyway. If he was there long enough and there was somebody that Yeah, no, I don't think they would ever let him get one there. In prison, he'll get somewhere where they can actually do that. But there is no chance that they're going to do it there. It would just be, I don't think they want to take that risk, right, of putting him in with somebody. I do. I do. I think they're giving him the blues, if you want to know the truth. I think they're giving him the blues, right? I definitely see that. Kites. Yeah. About getting kites in and out of things. He says that R. Kelly was set up. Well, I'll be damned. If R. Kelly was set up, they did a really good job, right? They must have, because he had videos and a lot of other pretty nasty evidence. I know Mr. Cox. I've been on that gentleman's show. He's a federal inmate. He had me on. We did like a 3-hour interview I did with him a while ago. But Matt Cox. Carol, the secret of happiness is most assuredly not being there anymore. That is absolutely. You don't always walk away with that. It's pretty surprising how many people don't get that lesson and they continue to go back again and again and again and again. It's awful, man. Awful. Your baby sister is getting married tomorrow. She finally found one that is worth settling down with. He's a good guy. He's got 3 kids, and they're great kids. Oh, how nice is that? I'm glad to hear this. I really am. Congratulations to your baby sister. I love it. Oh, you know something? Yeah, TC. Pets for Inmates. Those programs are incredible. You would not believe how different convicts get when you bring animals around them. I've never been in a place. I've never been a part of a pet program, but I was in a prison where they had wild cats and they would leave the door open and they sold, tuna, cat food, stuff like that on Commissary. It was not a federal place; it was a state place. But there were cats that would come in and out of the cells. There were cell doors, and the cats could come in and out. And it changes people. It absolutely changes people. Guys that you look at that are like, stone cold killers, people that don't seem to have a kind bone in their body. There's something about, anything furry. And, you see them in there and these guys are like, they got tattoos all over their bodies and, their necks are this big. They've been lifting weights and they're going, come here, kitty. Sitting there making those noises and crap with cats. One of the funniest things ever. One of the funniest things ever. You know something, Carol? You don't have to feel bad about that. You do not have to feel bad about that at all. I'm sorry, people. And I'm not going to count that as moving closer to hate. I'm just not. This is righteous indignation. It's a nation worth of righteous indignation. For real. People all over the world are looking at this going, you know what, man? He's the symbol at this point. You guys get that? He's the symbol for what is wrong with everything, right? He's the symbol of what's wrong with music, what's wrong with Hollywood, what's wrong with everything in entertainment. It should have been good enough, and I wasn't out on the street, or I would have handled this. I'm kidding. But when they did, the Harvey Weinstein got outed finally, right? That should have been good enough. It really should have, but it doesn't seem like the music industry got touched in the same way that that Hollywood and television and a lot of other places did, right? But I think that this guy is that he's the head, allegedly, the government says he's the head of a crime syndicate, for real. And there's a lot of people involved in these. Take one freak off, right? They list, by the way, a lot of different places that they went for these, right? But think about one freak off. Where you got to go? Who booked the air travel? Do you see Diddy on the phone? Huh? Booking travel for some male porn star from California to fly into Chicago to meet them so that they can do a freak off. You think Diddy's booking those tickets? I promise you he's not. I promise you he's not. But the people there didn't think they were buying porn stars airline tickets to Chicago, right? To not go do what they were doing. I promise you, these people knew what freak-offs were. They had to then acquire all of the pink yayo, the 2C. How to get that, right? How to have all that baby oil, had to have the lube, had to have the candles set up, had to have the cameras in the right place, because he's not just in there doing his stuff, right? He's in there sitting in the corner and he is telling them what to do, right? He's the director, right? He's directing a porn film. What he's doing is watching his girl get abused. Yeah. It's, you would, even if there was never anybody else that had ever been busted, right? The rock stars are not famous for being great role models, right? I mean, honestly, forget any of the the essay and the rest of it. Even if that's not there, would you still want your kid hanging out? Sub Rosa, I don't understand it. It's not, it is what it is. I'm not kink shaming anybody, right? But Albie Shore's kid is being raised by Diddy, right? He had the child with Kim Porter, and Diddy is raising that kid like he's his own. Yes, everybody knows that. Okay, there's another kid of his, and that looks remarkably like Wolf, bodyguard that used to work with Diddy. You see a picture of them next to each other. They're damned identical. And it does seem like this dude maybe was bumping off guys that his girlfriends had been screwing around with, and then taking the kids and raising them. Allegedly. Kind of looks that way, man. Kind of looks that way. I'm just saying. By the way, there's a lot of people that said she was intimate with Wolf. And Diddy's obviously a cuck, right? So Kim would be horrified at how he's molded her babies. Oh, I'm telling you, Carol Carr. I'm telling you. It's sad. And you know something? So again, what if everything Burgess is telling us is correct, right? What if he's telling us the truth? That he was given this and the person said, hey, when the time comes, right? You'll know when the time comes. If something bad happens to me, you're going to know when the time comes, right? And when that time comes, here's the package I want you to release. Be that solid dude. She died in 2018. Why are we working on almost 7 years later? Maybe he was afraid of Diddy, right? Maybe he was afraid of Diddy. Or maybe not. Maybe this is a money grab and she didn't write it. I don't know. I really don't. It's hard to imagine that you've been through such challenges, and I truly respect your choices today. Oh, thank you. I should give a TED talk. Well, you tell Ted to shoot me a call. I'd be more than happy to talk to Ted. Does he need help? I'm kidding. I know what a TED talk is. I just, I don't know how any of those, how those things work. I would love to do a TED talk. It's totally suspicious. Diddy collects lots of things. Still don't understand how he has his kids around him with all the allegations. Well, I get that. Like, I think a lot of people, yeah, they take kids for a lot less. However, let's keep it real. It's not a fun thing to say, but let's keep it real. This isn't the same thing, right? This isn't the same thing. He's a rock star. He's got all the money in the world. He flew a doctor in, allegedly. He flew in a great plastic surgeon to fix his girlfriend's face, right? Because he broke her nose. So that doctor didn't know what he was going to do. Did the doctor think that the person fell down? Cuck daddy. Well played, Ben. Uh, what did he think? That the person fell down? Nah, I don't buy that. Neither do any of you. I don't. Is it the same doctor that was bringing up all of the IV fluids to run? Because if you abuse the love of your life, if you abuse the person that you want to spend your life with for 2 days worth of forced sex against her will, then she's probably going to need IV fluids run. And the person that brought those IV fluids in, they're complicit. They're part of this. It's how RICO works. Person that brought that in there, person that cleaned up that room, the person that booked the travel, bought the dope, all that. You get it? Everybody. And I think it's going to get, we're going to see some odd stuff, man. We're going to see some odd stuff. How do you, I don't know. By the way, he would then buy a beautiful bracelet to give her, and very often would give her that beautiful bracelet while some man was assaulting her. I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, if you're in the process of having intercourse and you didn't want to, you've been assaulted. Don't care what it looks like on film. If you didn't want to do it and you're doing it against your will, you were assaulted, right? Everybody does get that, yeah? Right? Please tell me you get that. Nicola Mack, you're funny. Even if we don't like the guy, he should be entitled to bail. He has an 8th Amendment constitutional right. Agree to disagree. I went through the federal system twice because I didn't have an unbelievable amount of money. I wasn't given bail. I wasn't even given a bail hearing, right? Much less 3 of them. This is an affectation of the man's money. Because of what he is accused of, the federal system in place has a rule that says you don't get bail because of these particular crimes and how heinous they are, right? Yeah, you're innocent until proven guilty. However, these crimes in their nature are particularly heinous. So unless there is a substantial reason to go against what is normal, then you're in bail, right? I do believe that if people are going to do it, then everybody should be afforded the same opportunity. But to say I'm going to put up $50 million, hire my own team, have a person sitting at the gate, not talk to anybody, remove all of the electronic equipment out of my house, and the only people that I will talk to are my lawyers, and some family. I can't put that deal together, right? You couldn't put that deal together. Jumped on, I promise. You couldn't put that deal together. That is uniquely for somebody that's sitting on more money than he knows what to do with. And that's kind of a bummer, right? It should be the same for everybody. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm an idiot. Thank you again, Cuddly Floof. My favorite kind of floof. As I say, Viber, I firmly disagree with. Yes, I do as well, but I respect his right to say it. And I do respect us not jumping down the dude's throat either, right? Everybody has a right, and it's a legitimate opinion. He says, what about the Abercrombie and Fitch CEO? Same crime, $10 million for bail. Well, not exactly the same crime. It's similar, but it's not exactly the same crime. He's charged with running a prostitution ring, right? A male prostitution ring. So although it is similar, it is different. The other thing that makes it different is the guy's in his 80s. He's not a felon. He didn't get caught in his house with a crap load of drugs. He did not get caught in his house with 7 guns capable of taking large capacity magazines. And I don't mean 15 rounds. I mean 50 round drums. And of those ARs, 7 of them, 3 of them had obliterated serial numbers, which the feds get real dicey about. So there's a lot of stuff that separates the Abercrombie and Fitch guy from the P. Diddy situation. Just the fact that he's in his 80s changes things dramatically, right? So he was he was given an opportunity to make his argument multiple times. I didn't get that. And I owned a house in the city that I lived in. I was married to an attorney. So I was married to an officer of the court. They wouldn't even give me a hearing. So the feds do things the way they want to do things. There's a reason that they have a conviction rate as high as they do. Let me tell you their business model. They arrest you and they send you to jail. And you find out that they don't feed you. Right? County jail is the worst place in the world. You find out that in that place, you're living in a hell you can't imagine. So you start talking to the fellas, and the fellas go, well, this does suck. But the good news is it's going to get better. And you go, what the hell do you mean it's going to get better? I'm going to get convicted. And they go, yeah, you can get convicted. The difference is when you get to prison, right, you have a life. You can get outside. You can walk around, right? There's a lot of things that you can do that you can't do here because you're locked down. So now the inmates, they either want to get the hell out or they want to go to prison, but they don't want to sit in there any longer, right? It's really, really nasty. So they do everything they can to make you want to get out of that. And I mean, get out of that. So when the deal comes down, well, if you plead not guilty, you're probably going to be in here another 2 years fighting your case. Forget it, right? Forget it. I'll take the deal. And that's honestly, that business model really keeps, nobody goes to trial. Nobody goes to trial. Well, there you go. 3% of federal cases go to trial, says Trump Don. I believe that you're probably right on that. I don't know. I know very few people that fought it. Let's not forget, photo shown of Diddy and his son all oiled up. I have seen several photos like that. And a video posted on Diddy's own channel of him grabbing drink and telling his son to join him, and then asks his son, what's wrong with you? You all right? Yeah, I'm not surprised. I don't know that I've seen that one. There are allegedly, there's a lot of film out there of he and his kid at freak-offs together. That has been alleged, right? Yeah, don't go yet. Helen makes a good point. This is something we do all the time here. I'm not a doctor, right? I'm not. But I have spent an awful lot of my life doing drugs. And do not quit anything without talking to your doctor, right? Don't quit anything without talking to your doctor. But if it's alcohol or benzos, you need to talk to your doctor, because quitting cold turkey from either of those, if your addiction has progressed to a certain stage, you run the risk of no longer breathing. It is the second leading cause of death in county jails. First being unaliving yourself, people who don't want to fight their case and take the other way out. Other than that, it's acute alcohol withdrawal. People that go in there and then end up going into the delirium tremens and having seizures that take them off the planet. Pete, I know the video that you are making reference to, and what I will tell you is I have seen videos. I've had stuff sent to me. I have had videos sent to me of stars who are getting busy at Diddy parties. People you absolutely have heard of. I, however, have absolutely no way at all to tell you if they're real. What I can tell you is the fakes that they crank out now, you would not believe. You wouldn't believe it. They can make it look like you're saying anything. They can make it look like you're doing anything. I want this dude to get busted and punished for everything that he is doing. I don't believe for a second that Kamala was ever there doing that, right? I don't. I just think, and I'm just not, right? And I don't lean in that direction, by the way. That's not a direction. I'm not defending her because she's my, I'm a dyed in the wool, whatever. It's not that, but it's just what I saw. I'm not sure I believe it, right? And here's the thing: if I come running out with one, and I roll with it, and it ends up being absolutely BS. Number one, I'm going to come and I'm going to apologize, right? But I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose credibility. And I don't want people to think that that will go with anything, right? Yeah. Oh, they're out there. They're not hard to find. For real, they're not hard to find. Just don't ask Judge Joe Brown. Well, there you go. I would like to see TD Jakes. There's a lot of smoke around TD Jakes, right? We have people now that have come out and said, this dude did this, right? Seems to have a preference. Allegedly, he had a preference for boys, right? I have seen someone that I found incredibly believable talking about dealing with dealing with one of those assaults. And I really would like to see him. I would like to see him dealt with. I had friends busted in Hawaii for weed. They never even found weed, but knew about the cash and money they were spending and sent them to, apparently, Lompoc. Every guy that has ever done prison in the feds just went, what the hell did he say? Like, even if they were in the room not doing anything, right? Not paying attention, they just went, what did he just say? Because the fellas call it Lompoc. They've always called it Lompoc. Even the cops that work there call it Lompoc. Everybody says it. It's just something that everybody in the Fed say. When I got out and someone said, no, it's Lompoc, I was like, what? I'm sorry, it's what? Man, I've been hearing Lompoc for so long. It's a struggle to say Lompoc, but apparently that's what they, apparently it's Lompoc. Congratulations, Helen. You got to love that. 7 years. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. That's winning. That is winning. Right? Lompoc. Why is it called Lompoc? Lompoc? I don't know. It's just what the guys say. They say Lompoc. You were in Houston, Texas last weekend, and the Potter House on Sunday morning was empty. I believe it was. You lived there with your ex, was in Lompoc for 5 years in Club Fed. He was at Lompoc Camp. Yeah. Lompoc Camp is Club Fed. Lompoc USP is not. There's a really tough Lompoc there. Although I think now they've dropped it from a USP to an FCI, but I'm not 100% on that. It's a very old prison. It's built at the same time as Leavenworth, Lewisburg, Atlanta. That might be it. That's all I got to say about that. Yeah. You be nice. He works cleaning offices in the big house part of the prison. I was in. They banned TD Jakes from the church. No, they have not banned TD Jakes from the church. Not to the best of my knowledge. He has not been banned. He should be. But I do believe that we are going to be seeing. You know what I think? I think that Cat Williams said it best when he said 2024 is the year that everything will be exposed, right? Don't care if you're TD Jakes, don't care if you're Diddy, right? Don't care if you're anybody else. Maybe you're a very, very tall man, right? Who's incredible at throwing a ball through a round hoop. Sub Rosa, I get asked this all the time, and here's what I'll tell you. I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't think I'm smart enough to be able to answer this, right? Here's what I can tell you. The feds did away almost completely with federal prisons. There's 2 of them out of 127 that are privatized, right? And they're transfer centers for the most part. They're not proper prisons. The Now each state is different, but there's been a big push to try to get people out of there, right? Word is he quietly passed senior pastor to his daughter. Well, all right then. I don't know numerology. I used to listen to the numbers lady on Coast to Coast when I was in prison, Glennis. We had a long-standing joke about her because she talks so fast when she's on there that guys would always go, "Hold on, give me your numbers." Okay, so you come from a 4 year and but a 3 lifespan. Gosh, we would laugh so hard. She's amazing. Numbers are not my strong suit, right? I was told there would be no math, but I do believe that this is the year that we're going to see a lot of people that are going to pay for the things that they've done. I do believe that. I think that somebody left a comment earlier. I don't think it's getting a whole lot nastier out here. I think we're done looking at it. I think we're done letting this go on our watch. For real. All of the people that say, who cares? It's a much smaller group of people now, right? Now the vast majority of people are saying, I care. Not on my watch. This crap ain't going on anymore, man. Not on my watch, right? I'm going to stop watching movies. I'm stop watching television. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm telling you, people are sending me emails every day saying this. I'm not listening to any more crap that came out of that. There are people who are really affected by this story. Right? There really are. There's a lot of people that are pretty affected by this, and I think that we're gonna see a change. Not in my backyard. Yeah. You don't trust the basketball so-called king. He's a creep. Always thought that. MJ is the king. You know something? We'll just cover this one real quick because when he first came in, he did that. Not a 1P, not a 2P, right? 3, 4. He was talking about rings for every finger. He was gonna blow by Michael Jordan, but he hasn't seemed to be able to deliver on all of those championships, right? He's been in a lot of them, just hasn't won enough of them. I wonder if somebody told him he had to tank them. I wonder if somebody said, "Hey, you better tank this one, or I'm going to show that video where you're wearing a dress and there's a guy spanking your backside with a big carp, right? While they're filming it and hosing you down with a super soaker full of extra virgin olive oil." You remember that one, don't you? Ain't no party like a Diddy party. Know what I'm saying? Ain't no party like a Diddy party. God, you got to be glad you never went to one, huh? He's stoked that I never went to one. I dropped basic cable, no real channels. That a girl. Uh-oh. This is not, I didn't do this because it's a sign on one of, it is though. It is a sign on one of those levels, but everything is. Yeah, Michael Jordan is the GOAT, to be sure. A carp, large fish. Sorry, people. I'm getting punchy. I've been on here too long. All right, folks. I will be doing a show this evening. I think if I don't, I'll just be honest, people. I'm not gonna. I want to keep doing this. I don't want to burn out. So I'm going to. We're going to see how I'm doing. If not, I'll put up a post. But I'm hoping to be going live 7 o'clock on the West Coast. We shall see. I am the Admiral, right? I'm the Admiral. And this right here, that is a cat in a basket. 2 things we promise here. We judge nobody, and we deliver more cat in a basket than any other channel on the big red button. Promise. Between now and the next time I see you, reach out and try to save somebody.